Hey, welcome. This is a tutorial about solving problem 4.9 from chapter 9. The book that we're using is Microeconomics 7th edition by Glenn Hubbard and Anthony Patrick O'Brien. So let's go to chapter 9, comparative advantage and the gains from international trade. And we want the chapter summary and problems. So let's look for problem 4.9. Okay, it is. The following graph shows the situation after the U.S. government removes tariffs on import of canned tuna. So what we need to do here is take a look at this and then answer the questions. So the first one says, which areas shows the gain in consumer surplus? Okay, let's take a look in here. So what we have here is we have the U.S. supply, and this right over here, there is a line that is not showing on this graph, but there is a line in there that will be the world supply. So what happened is the United States has tariffs on imported canned tuna, and they are going to be removing the tariffs. So right now the market is in equilibrium for the U.S. producers at point price zero in this quantity right over here, but the U.S. consumers are also buying some canned tuna from international producers, and that will also be right here at price zero in this quantity here. So once the United States removes this tariff, then they could pay the same price that the rest of the world is paying. So what we see here is the consumption is going to drop from U.S. Producers, but it's going to increase from world producers. So the question is, which areas show the gain in consumer surplus? So this is where we are. We are buying this from U.S. producers, and we are buying this from the world producers. Once the tariff is gone, now we are at this point here. We're buying this from U.S. producers, and we're buying this from world producers. So the areas that shows the gain in consumer surplus are going to be area A. So this area is going to be gain in consumer surplus. Area B is also a gain in consumer surplus. Area C is a gain in consumer surplus, and area D will also be a gain in consumer surplus. So areas A, B, C, and D will also be gain to U.S. consumers. We were right over here, and we are going to this quantity here. This is the quantity that we are buying. So which area shows the loss in producer surplus? So the only one that are losing, the only producers that are losing are the U.S. producers, because now they have to sell at price one. That means the tariffs that people were paying to the world producer is no longer there, so the price goes down, and now they have to sell a price one. Remember, when the price goes down, they're willing to sell less of it, so the producer surplus will be area A. Now the other question is, which area shows the loss in government tariffs revenue? So remember, the government puts a tariff, which is a tax. They are collecting the tax, so they no longer are collecting the tax, and that was this area right over here, area C, because this is where the gap was in taxes, right over here. So area C is the loss to the government in tariffs revenue. Now, which area shows the gain in economic surplus? So before, when we had a tariffs, areas B and D were not being utilized, so that was dead weight loss. Once we remove the tariffs, areas B and D are gains in economic surplus because that was dead weight loss. We can also go the other way. Let's assume that we are in equilibrium here at the world price. So these are U.S. producers. or the US supply, and these are the world producers or world supply. And let's say that the US producers goes and complain to the government, say, we need to keep jobs, we need to be able to stay in business. So the United States imposes a tariff, right? So this we're going the other way. We're going from price one to price zero. So the question would be which areas shows the loss in consumer surplus. So the loss in consumer surplus will be the areas A, B, C, and D. Which areas will be the gain in producer surplus. In this case, will be area A. So this will be again the area that we're gaining in producer surplus. And now we have which area shows the loss in government tariffs. Oh, this will be the gain in government tariffs. So the gain in government tariffs will be C. And finally, which areas shows the loss in economic surplus. We will get economic surplus from areas B and D, because now what happened is consumers are buying less of it. So they will buy this more from the US supply, but they will buy this less from the world suppliers. So again, this is about equilibrium gains and losses and the effect of tariffs in imports into the United States.